being inauthentic, not true to yourself, leads to cognitive dissonance. And if this is a new term for you, there are lots of probably very complex definitions for cognitive dissonance, but I'll give you a simple one. It's the discomfort, and you can look at discomfort as tension or stress that you feel when your beliefs don't align with your actions. Right? That's a very, very simple way to look at what cognitive dissonance is. It's something you feel, and anyone who's ever done anything where they were being less than authentic can relate to this experience, because you know it, you feel it when you're going against yourself. And cognitive dissonance, it will wreck all three circles. It will absolutely destroy all three circles, and it will do it systematically. Right now, in the three circles, right, we have the health circle, and we have the relationship circle, and then we have the career, money. You can put different things in this circle. And in this particular picture, right, the person is in the middle, in the sweet spot, right? That's the spot of harmony, of having it all rolling the way it's supposed to roll in your life, in the right order and being true. But that sweet spot will never exist, ever, without being true to ourselves. It can't happen. It's not a possibility. And it's not sustainable even if we get away with it. So that's important to recognize. What's the ancient wisdom is that everything hidden will be revealed, right? We can hide as much as we want behind whatever we choose, but sooner or later it's coming out. It's not going to stay there very long. And so if you look at the idea of cognitive dissonance, well, the first and immediate thing to consider when it's relative to image is it's already uncomfortable enough learning to be ourselves in the world and grow and develop. Imagine how uncomfortable it is to try to grow and develop and be somebody else. I think that would be a lot harder, actually. If you look at the first circle, right, the health circle, which the health circle is physical and mental and all the pieces that go into that, cognitive dissonance is a stress. Stress in and of itself will eventually obliterate your physical health. It literally will obliterate your physical health. It is a root cause of a substantial amount of health problems, because stress, it's got your adrenals turned on. It's got your cortisol levels turned on. It is messing up your body, right? That's the beginning. What happens from that is the mental impact, right? So that's a natural byproduct, right? Poor physical health, physical issues will flow right in to the mental aspect and the emotional issues. And then you're going to have deeper stuff, right? Like guilt and shame and regret, anxiety, esteem issues, self-loathing, and you can go on and on and on, right? So that the first circle will get hammered over time just from the cognitive dissonance. But then you flow into the second circle, which is the relationship circle. So think of someone who's feeling physically and mentally the way a person will feel under this kind of sustained stress over a period of time. They're going to be irritable. They're going to be fatigued. They're going to be lacking seriously in joy. They're going to have no fulfillment. They're going to be frustrated. They're going to be not present. Those are not good recipes for quality relationships. Those would be the opposite, right? I don't remember where I first heard it, but someone told me many years ago, if you don't deal with stuff and you keep holding it in, it's coming out sideways, right? It's coming out in sudden outbursts. It's coming out in responses. It's true, right? We've all done it, right? We've all done it where, we just, and we do it to our loved ones, right? We just, boom, we just say something not because this person we love did something egregious, because we got an issue and they just happened to walk right into it and boom. And then we deal with that, right? takes us a while too, right? It takes us a while to age through the process where we can go, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. We don't do that when we're younger. We're like, you made me do it. We start blaming them for the thing that they had nothing to do with. They're just like picking up a pencil. Like, what are you doing with the pencil? Right? I mean, it's the craziness of how things go sideways. But then the practical costs. And so this is the second cognitive dissonance, right? It's affecting all portions of the three circles. There's a practical cost to this as well, very practical. So first, it's obviously showing up here because it's impacting relationships, which impacts everything, not just your love relationships. Everything is relationships. There's nothing that's not, right? Even a company is what? It's just a bunch of people, right? So it's relationships are all, because your priorities get out of whack. This whacks your priority because literally maintaining an image is a priority. Think about that. It's a priority. It takes enormous resources, not just emotional resources, but it takes time and money. I mean, living beyond one's means in order to impress other people who don't care is a financial trap, right? That's a resource consumer, right? Keeping up with the Joneses, right? Those kinds of mentalities, they cascade out of this. And so the fact that it becomes a priority means it's already replacing things that are more important, which would be right in line with the circles, which then flows right into the third circle, right? Which would be the financial circle or career circle, however you like to look at it. And you know, the path that I teach people in life is ultimately going to get to purpose. You can never get to purpose without being true to you. Never. That's never going to happen, right? You might make a few bucks, but you're never going to get to purpose. And so ultimately you'll miss the greatest part of fulfillment in your entire life by not getting real about things. But practically, choice of work, how many people's identity is their profession? That's an image, right? Your profession might be attorney, but you are a human. You're not an attorney. You're a human who works as an attorney. You're a human who sells vacuum cleaners. You're not a vacuum cleaner salesman, right? So it's even profession can become image, which is disastrous in the big picture, because what happens if something goes wrong? Suddenly your whole identity, your whole image is undermined and exposed, right? Then what's left? Not to mention, how often do people choose occupations because that's the right occupation to choose, not because that's the occupation that's in their heart to choose. The other area of practicality is your centering gets totally messed up. Now, this is something I talk about in Three Circles Living, and it's you can read The Ultimate Master of Teaching Centering, which is Stephen Covey. But your centering cannot be around an image or the things that represent the image, because essentially then you're spending your life trying to impress people who don't care. That's basically what you're doing, which is a complete and utter waste of all the beautiful DNA that you've been possessed with. And so this then, and the other part that's part of the practical is you're never going to be as productive in something that isn't true to you as you would be, right? With something that is, ever, right? It's not going to align properly. You're not going to feel jazzed about it. You're just going to go through the motions, right? Even if you go through them successfully on an outward perspective, the whole from the cognitive dissonance in your spirit will eat you alive. It will eat your soul over time. And then this leads to, in this circle, what I think, which is to me is one of the saddest It's one of the saddest costs. And that's the opportunity cost of this, right? Because in our work, right now, this particular Zoom is general, right? It's not focused specifically on the work that we do in our MLT community. But wow, is it something that I've witnessed over and over and over in my career, is to see people pass up opportunities and settle for less than they can do or be or have because of the fear of what someone might think of their choice. That is a horrible waste of a human being, in my opinion. Not to mention, it robs the planet of your intended impact. And I know people struggle with the idea that they're here to make an impact. Hey, I didn't make that up. That's reality. There's a reason you're unique. There's a reason you're rare. There's a reason no one has the exact makeup as you. It's because you have a specific role to play. And that's part of the life journey. And every time you settle and don't pursue something, you rob the opportunity for you to get farther in the path. And so many other people will never know the impact that you could have had with them and the difference that you could have made. And I see this often in our work, right? The fear of what others think, or the fear of failure, because that will lead to what others think. And that, it's a crime against yourself. It's such an unfortunate thing. I shudder to think, I shudder to think where I would have ended up had I not made a decision so many years ago that what other people thought about me was way less important than the needs of my family and me doing what was on my heart to do. I mean, I think about my children, the opportunities that they were afforded that they wouldn't have had. But I think even further about the example, because to me, that's the most important thing you give children, is you give them the example, right? The example that you can go for life, that you can be what you want to be, that there isn't a governor on you, even though the world's telling you that there is. That I never could have had that, presented that lesson, because it's not a lesson you can tell them. It's a lesson you have to show them, right? And if you really think about this, the majorities, right? People are concerned of what the majority will think of them. And yet, if you look at the state of the majority of people, I would submit to you that their opinions should not carry much value, because they are not leading lives that we should aspire to. Now, I don't say that I don't say that in a negative way. I say that in a factual way. In fact, I believe it's our role, part of our role in life, to lift the majority, to show them what's possible in case they want to change the script. So I'm about serving for the greater good, but we can't serve for the greater good by being someone who's not actualizing in life. And so it just doesn't, again, it doesn't make sense to let the opinion of the majority sway who we really are. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm about making sense. So, and the last piece of this particular part of the equation here is the heart pursuit piece. Everybody has one. Everybody. I don't know what it is for you, right? But everybody has something on their heart they just feel called to do. And most people never do it. We're thankful that some people do, because it's why we live in a pretty amazing world. Because if people didn't, then we'd still be pushing rocks around with a stick, right? We'd be like, how do you make fire? I mean, we would be trying to figure stuff out that people say, I don't care what you think. I'm crazy enough to think I can do something, and I'm going to do this. And that's what makes the world go round. But most people squash their heart pursuits, and they later in life have to deal with that massive regret of knowing they didn't do something they could have done. And that is not a place anybody wants to pitch their tent.